Hey you guys, it's Whitney. So today we're going to talk about sexual addiction and how sexual addiction affects my life and the reasons behind why. And how the sexual addiction has came to play. If this is something that you're interested in listening to, maybe you struggle with sexual addiction yourself, then continue watching. If not, and you have virgin ears, then maybe you might want to skip over this one. So, the reason why I wanted to make this video in the first place is because the past week or so, or in a couple days, have been really tough for me. And a lot of times, I'm gonna speak for myself, but for me, when things get depressed, I'm just gonna say the depression, PTSD, and all that go hand in hand. And they go hand in hand because it's usually the trauma that I have experienced that caused the PTSD, and then also causes the depression that caused me to have a sexual addiction. Now, I'm not going to go too much in detail because we'll be talking all day. But when I was younger, I was molested, and I was molested multiple times. And then also when I would run away, I'd get myself in situations that were just not good. And I'd bump into men who used the fact that I needed a place to sleep, or I was hungry, or whatever, to manipulate me and to take advantage of my body. And these times I was like really young, 13, 14, 15. So I'm not really aware of what's going on. I wasn't really aware of what was going on. And a lot of the things that I had experienced, to me it was like, okay, so this must be normal. And there was one time where I was forced into prostitution. This was at 13, because this guy said he'd help me and give me somewhere to stay and put me in school. I'm dumb, naive, like, okay, cool, like, sure. Anyways, long story short, we get all the way to Boston, and we go to his cousin's house, and his cousin was a pimp. And they was basically human trafficking, because they had they had this other young girl there who was 16. I was only 13. And then there was an 8-year-old boy there. Excuse me, you guys. But anyways, and during that time, I too was introduced to a lot of things sexually that I probably shouldn't have. So a lot of my first sexual experiences were negative. But yeah, during that time, I experienced a lot of my first sexual experiences, and they were forced on me. They were like, I was forced to strip. I was forced to have a threesome with the 16-year-old, and the two Haitian guys that had us there, they were like 21 and 27, or 27 and 31, something like that. But yeah, I was forced to do a lot of things. So a lot of my first sexual experiences were traumatizing. I was forced to drink alcohol so that I can strip, and it was just so, I remember being young and just thinking like, oh, this tastes disgusting. But yeah. Whew. it was horrible. I seen a lot of things. I seen the 16-year-old girl get beat with a machete because she tried to run away, and he tracked her down. Basically, she tried to run away with a client's car, and I don't know how, but he knew where she was going and tracked her down on the highway and dragged her out the car, and then freaking beat her ass. First he beat her with the flat side of the machete, and then whooped her with a belt. And this girl, they called her Alize. She was so pale, with freckles, and I just remember her being bright red, and I was scared. Like, I was really scared. But anyways, so yeah, a lot of my first sexual experiences were very negative and very normalized. Like, oh, this is normal. This is what people who have sex do. This is normal. Like, it was normalized. So I didn't know no better. Like, oh, okay, this is what we do when you're sexually active. And then on top of that, I had already from a young age was masturbating due to being raped. I believe that has to be, because I just don't understand why being a child, like a young child, like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you know, all the way till now, I struggle with it, was so addicted with masturbating, so addicted to climaxing, really, just having that climax. I needed that climax. Let's just say, like, whenever I could sneak away, and this is from a little kid, sneak away and release myself, that's what I did. And I truly feel like the addiction is more of a need to release because of stress and not being able to compartmentalize, if I said that right, compartmentalize, forgive me, my emotions and my feelings and everything like that. And it was just a horrible coping skill, pretty much. That's what it was from a young age. And as I got older, that turned into just being promiscuous, because I think some of the reasons why was, one, because I was already so used to that feeling of climax and needing that climax. And then when you add the attention from the men, and just the things that, you know, just new and exciting ways to climax, it just became like a avalanche of issues on top of issues. Like, I'm trying to explain this, like, so that it's easy to understand, because for some people, they probably are gonna be like, yeah, whatever, like, you sound crazy. But just think about it. My whole young childhood, my entire teenage life, and young, like, early 20s, I was in pain. I was hurting. I was angry. There's so many things that was going on with me that that's just how I dealt with it. And I didn't even care. Like, I was so open with it, and I was telling everybody. And I remember being on social media, I'm just bragging about the things that I was doing. I remember being on a site where you find hookups and stuff, and in video chat, and traveling here to go mess with this guy and all kinds of stuff. But as I got older and something had happened within my household and I started paying attention to my kids' behaviors and stuff like that, I started to have really bad dreams. And these dreams were bringing up, it was a familiar space, a familiar sound, a familiar smell. Everything was so familiar, except for there was no face. And in these dreams, I was being raped. And it was causing me a lot of stress. These dreams was causing me a lot of anxiety. And I said, you know what? The only thing that makes sense is that I was molested as a kid. Because when I look back, what little kids doing stuff like that? You have to be introduced to these things in order to be doing them. Like, I was so young, and it was just like, anyways. So I started asking family members, you know, tell me the truth. Was I molested? Tell me the truth. This, and a lot of people were hesitant. They don't want to tell me, or they say, well, we believe you might have been because of the behaviors that you was displaying. Or, you know, yeah, I think you were, and we think it was this person because of, you know, whatever. You started displaying these behaviors after we left you with this person. But it's kind of like, I think that made me angry, because it was like, okay, you guys noticed? I thought all those years I was doing stuff sneaky. Nobody knew what I was doing. But you guys noticed that I was doing these inappropriate things at such a young age, and nobody got me help. Like, nobody intervened. And nobody questioned, like, seriously questioned why. What? And that, along with a lot of other things that happened to me, contributed to my sexual addiction. I know it did. Because it was like I was doing it just to climax, to get a release. It was like almost like after you exercise, that feeling after you exercise, that amazing, and if you were stressed after you exercise, it's almost like it was lifted off of you, if only for a little bit. And that's almost exactly how it feels. So yeah, but me being young, like when I was younger, I was not able to recognize why I was doing certain things, and I thought that they were normal. So I was just out there. It wasn't until like 4 years ago when I really started reflecting on my behavior and started realizing, like, opening my eyes and realizing, like, this is not okay. What's going on with me, and why do I feel the need to be, you know, to display risky behavior sometimes? Then I had to start asking myself, and I was going to therapy, so my therapist helped me. But I started asking myself, okay, what's going on in my life around the times where I feel like I need to be this way? How am I feeling? What thoughts am I having? Because don't get me wrong, it's okay to want to be freaky. It's okay to want to be open-minded when you're dealing with someone, like some one person. It's okay to explore your sexuality. But when you're just out there doing all kinds of things, you just don't care, and you are putting yourself at risk, then you have to question, why do you dislike yourself so much? Like, what's going on with you? Why are you doing this. And then when you pay attention and see that everybody else does not do that, because I think that's another thing. It hit me one day, and I'm just paying attention to other people. I'm just like, a lot of people don't do this. A lot of people are not on here talking about or bragging about, you know, their sexual whatever with some random person. And so yeah, anyways, I went to therapy, and the therapist really helped me break down that, you know what, the things that happened to you when you were younger and a lot of your first sexual experiences shape the way that you think, and shape the way that you deal with stress. So yeah, and since I have been really stressed out lately, and depressed, I figured I'm gonna make a video because one, I want to listen to it after, I want to watch it after, and really reflect, and two, because I've been having that urge to want to be risky or want to do something that I normally wouldn't do. And so, yeah. Now I know some of you are probably going to be like, hey, you sound ridiculous and blah, 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 blah. But I really wish people would be open-minded and really listen to what I'm saying, because trauma can definitely shape the way somebody behaves. So before you ever judge somebody, or before you are just quick to judge or call somebody a hoe or whatever the case may be, take a step back and ask yourself, or even pull them to the side and ask them what's going on with you. Like, there's a lot of times that I wish, I'm trying not to cry, but there are a lot of times that I think back on just everything that I used to do and the lifestyle that I used to live and that I'm fighting every day. And I really wish somebody would have pulled me aside and said, what is your problem? What is going on with you? Why are you doing these things? And a lot of people just ignored it, or they took it as, you know, whatever, she's just promiscuous or whatever. But nobody really took into account, especially the family members, like the ones that should know what's going on, because, you know, this has been going on since I was a child. But nobody said, let's get you help. Let's get you counseling. If I wasn't counseling, it was for stuff like my mom being a drug addict, or, you know, I'm misbehaving. But nobody ever addressed that issue. And I think they all was just hoping that it would go away one day, and, you know, but it didn't. It didn't, and it destroyed a lot of my early life. Like, seriously, it did. And it destroyed how I felt about myself. It destroyed, I'm sure, how people felt about me. And I just really, like, wish that people paid more attention and people cared enough to say and sit me down and say, listen, something's going on with you, we need to fix it. And it took another trauma for me to wake the fuck up and really try and figure out, like, am I plagued? Like, it took a trauma within my own household for me to really pay attention to my emotions when I'm feeling that way and say, you know what, I need help. So yeah, for anybody who is going through the same thing, do not be ashamed to go to a therapist. Do not be ashamed to admit it. Do not be ashamed to say, I need help, because that was probably one of the best things that I could have done, because it really helped me find an understanding of why. And if you know why, you can try and fix the outcome. And it's not easy. Sexual addiction is just as hard as drug addiction, and just as hard as any other addiction. And it's a constant fight, because anytime that I am stressed out, I want to turn to, I display risky behaviors. But I've been better. I have been better. I'm not going to say like it's bad, but I have been much better. And then I have been able to recognize when I'm getting to that point and kind of stop myself. Like, that's not really what you want, is it? You don't really want to sleep with that person, do you? Or what's going on with you? Because, this isn't really who you are. And part of it was just trying to learn who I am as a person. But yeah, part of, I believe, recovery, if that's what you want to call it, is learning yourself as a person, and digging deep. My kids, digging deep and trying to find out just figure out what you would have been like if none of that happened. Because that's something I struggle with all the time. Who would Whitney be today if Whitney did not endure this? And if Whitney was not raped? And if Whitney, all the stuff that's happened to Whitney. And then you have to you're basically learning yourself. What are the things that I like besides masturbating? What are the things that I like I really like? Not what are the things that are cool because everybody's doing it, but what are the things that I really like? What are some things that I can do that when I am going through pain and struggles and I am depressed, that I can use as coping skills besides sex and masturbation, because those are not coping skills, but that I can do to calm me. And poetry, writing poetry. I love to write poetry. I don't really post a lot of the poetry that I write. I think I've got one up there. It's called Dear Paper. But yeah, I don't really post a lot of that. I might start doing that. And I love music. I really like instrumentals, because instrumentals tap into your emotions. There's no words, so nobody's telling you what you need to sing to this song. All the words are gone, and you have just the melody, just a song. And you can put your own words and your own feelings and your own everything into that. So there's a lot of things that I have been implementing to help me as far as that goes. And then reminding myself that I am gorgeous. Like, a lot of times I feel really low about myself, and I know a lot of that has to do with a lot of the things that has happened to me growing up. And so I feel like my value has been depleted, or I might feel like just less than or less beautiful, because I'm like, well, nobody would do that to somebody who's beautiful. But I'll just feel very And so I look in the mirror a lot. I look in the mirror and really look at myself and really look and tell myself that you are fucking gorgeous. You're fucking gorgeous. Like, not everybody deserves to experience you in ways that that you are allowing some people to. Like, but yeah, anyways, now I'm just going on and on and on and on and on. But for anyone who is going through the same thing, my kids, man, hopefully this video can help. And if you haven't, I'd say get you some help. Because at least, even if, like, I don't go to the therapist anymore, but the therapist initially helped me understand what was going on with me and why. It made me feel like I wasn't abnormal. And really broke everything down for me so that now I can go home and process everything and get a better understanding. So that would be very helpful for anybody who's struggling with any type of addictions, especially, you know, staying on topic, sexual addiction, because just like any addiction, sexual addiction can kill. It can kill you if you're not being safe. You can catch diseases. Not only that, it kills you internally, like, and emotionally and mentally. It kills you, because in the moment, yeah, everything is great, but after, you have to reflect on what you just did and try and, you know, figure out why. And now it's like you're sitting there thinking, like, okay, so what does that person think of me now? And I know for me, that's just not who I am. Like, I know for me that had I would not have been molested, and had a lot of things not happened to me, I definitely wouldn't be, I don't think I would have had the same issues that I have had, as far as sexual addiction and stuff. It's almost like my entire innocence was stripped from me. Like, and I didn't know, like, who I was. I was just acting out in a very unsafe way. I don't know. But yeah. Hopefully this video will reach somebody who needs it. But you guys have a wonderful day.